What's up, movie buffs? Greg Rowe Show movie reviews. With the 42nd anniversary of the original Jaws coming up here in a few days, I thought I would go to the Jaws series, obviously Jaws, Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, and Jaws the Revenge, and give my opinion and breakdown of the movies as a series and give my ranking on the series from 4 to 1 when it comes to enjoyability of watching, the characters, the script, that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get to the list, starting off obviously with number 4 on the list. And there's number 4 on my list, Jaws the Revenge. Now, there are multiple reasons that this movie is 4th on the list. And while there isn't a movie in the series that I completely dislike, this movie for me is lacking some things that the other movies in the series has. First off, the thing that bothers me most about this movie is the thought or the idea that a killer shark has feelings and concept of revenge or vengeance and is going to follow the Brody family from, the East Coast all the way to the Bahamas. First off, that's not really a trek that a shark can make, a great white shark. It's not going to happen. So that was kind of a little bit for me. The kill scene that the shark jumps up out of the water and gets, plowed by the boat, I just thought was really... I thought they could have done something better for that. There are things about this movie, the continuity of this movie, that really bother me. I'm a big fan of Lance Guest. I like him. He plays Mike Brody in this. Michael Caine is in this movie. I like him. Lorraine Gray is in this, obviously returning to reprise her role as Mama Brody. To me, my favorite part of this movie is the first 5 minutes of the movie. I think... when Sean goes out and it's obviously, supposed to be the East Coast, and he goes out and the shark, bites off his arm and then kills him. I thought that honestly for me was where the great part of this movie ended. I didn't see anything in this movie other than that was really, really stood out to me. So, that's why I have it 4th on the list. Now, this is going to be probably where a lot of people disagree with me, and there might be some people watching this video that decide to turn this video off because they think I'm an idiot or whatever, and that is perfectly fine with me. I don't care. To me, I rank these movies on my enjoyability of watching them. If I have all 4 movies out in front of me, which one am I going to go to first? And then when I'm done with that, which one would I prefer to watch second, and so on. While the original Jaws is a masterpiece, it's a classic. It's in most people's eyes a top 20, if not even a top 10 movie of all time. It really set the precedent for scaring now over 40 years worth of people into going into the water. It changed the game as far as horror goes, and the fact that Steven Spielberg kept everybody on the edge of their seats and in suspense by not really showing the shark until the end of the movie. He showed signs of the shark attacking someone or killing someone, but never actually showed the shark until later in the movie. Kind of kept people's imaginations. It was kind of what John Carpenter did with Halloween. In some scenes, it was making your mind do all the work for him, and then delivering obviously the monster at the end. So it's a great movie. I'm not saying it's not a great movie. It's an all-time classic. For me, there are other movies in this series that I enjoy watching better. It could be the fact that there were some movies that I had actually seen before the original Jaws. Maybe I saw them out of order. Maybe a little bit nostalgic value for me. But, this movie to me is just, as an all-time great and one of the greatest movies ever made, for me, I just, if I'm gonna pick up movies out of the series, I can't put it any higher than 3 for me. You know, Brody and and Richard Dreyfuss in this movie is fantastic. Quinn is an all-time great movie character. I just to me I just believe there are more enjoyable movies in the series to me to watch. So I have the original Jaws at 3 on my list, and that's sort of why. I feel like for me, sometimes when there's a series of movies, the first movie sometimes gets kind of pushed by the wayside because it takes a little longer to develop, the story, the characters, because they have to set everything up, and then obviously in the sequels and stuff like that, the characters are already established, the story is already established, so there can be more action and you can just kind of jump right into it, and maybe that's why Jaws for me is 3 on my list, but nevertheless, all-time great movie, just for me, 3 on my list. And if you want to turn this video off and say I'm an idiot in the comments below, that's fine. There's 753,862 Jaws reviews on YouTube that you can go and watch that are basically all the same. So, if that's the case, then they're out there. That brings us to number 2 on my list, which is going to be Jaws 2. I thought that this movie did a really great job picking up where the first one left off. I thought there was still this same feel to the movie, and the kind of continuity of it flowing was really nice. To me, I just thought that the script was, in my opinion, a little better, a little faster paced. I thought there was a little more action with the shark. I thought that the places that they kind of took this movie, Cable Junction, having these kids stranded on these sailboats, and kind of bringing Sheriff Brody back to this, what people think is this paranoia that there's a killer shark out there. I just thought that the way that they put the script together, the characters, kind of the flow of the movie, the action of the movie, to me, was just better than the first one. I think it's a great movie. It's one of those movies that I really enjoy watching for all of those reasons. There isn't really one character in this movie that sticks out. Like a lot of people say, Quinn sticks out from the first movie. I would guess that Sheriff Brody, this is obviously his swan song. Having gone through the first experience of killing the first, killer shark, and the orca sinking, and Hooper and Sheriff Brody kind of, swimming to shore on, the barrels and whatnot. I feel like in the first one, he was a little bit more timid as to what was going on, didn't know how to kind of approach it. In this one, he's kind of been there, done that, and he shows a little more backbone. I thought the helicopter pilot trying to rescue the kids and the shark coming up and getting him and sinking the helicopter, I thought it was an awesome scene. So to me, this one just a little bit faster paced, and for me, so that's why I have it at number 2 on my list. And that brings me to my favorite movie of the Jaws series, and that is Jaws 3D. I know there are a lot of people that hate this movie. There are a lot of people that think this is one of the worst movies ever made. There's a lot of things on the internet about it being the worst movie ever made. There's people that were in the movie that just ended up hating it and saying they wish they never did it. That's all fine and good. For me, this is the first Jaws movie that I ever remember watching as a kid. And maybe that has a part to why I have a little bit of nostalgia with this movie. But I know that it pisses a lot of people off that they take it to SeaWorld and they make this whole thing about it, and it has nothing to do with the first 2 movies, and it doesn't take place out in sea and whatever. And that's kind of what I like about it. I like the idea of it being trapped inside of a water park, or in SeaWorld. and them trying to have to figure out how to survive and also take care of the shark. It's not out in the sea where it can go anywhere and everywhere. It's hiding. It's how do we deal with this? How do we take care of this problem? There's a little more claustrophobia, a more claustrophobic feel to this movie, and kind of what takes place with the shark and what takes place in the attack scenes and stuff like that. And that's what I like about it. I'm a huge to me, I just feel like this cast is the best of any movie in the series. I think that the chemistry of the cast is extremely good, and I like Alan Parker's soundtrack in this movie. I like the fact that he took some of the original ideas that John Williams did, and he kind of morphed it off. And I honestly believe if you pick up a Jaws 3D soundtrack and run it against John Williams' Jaws or Jaws 2, that it is right there. If not, in my opinion, a little bit better. That might be. That might be a curse to some people for me even saying that. But I mean, if you really listen to Alan Parker, I think he does a tremendous job with this soundtrack, and kind of the ebb and the flow of the soundtrack, mixing in some of John Williams' ideas and themes and whatnot, and kind of creating his own thing. I think he does a fantastic job with this soundtrack. To me, this is the most enjoyable movie of the entire series, for me at least, to watch. It's in my top, it's in my top 5 movies of all time. And as a matter of fact, Jaws 3D is my second favorite movie of all time. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed by that. It is my second favorite movie of all time. I love everything about this movie. This is one of those movies for me that if you were to ask me, if you could go back in time and be a part of any movie that was made, or whether it be just a set extra, or part of the crew that makes sets, or whatever, what movie would it be? And this would be one of the top 2 or 3 choices for me. I love everything about this movie, the script, the characters, the soundtrack, the feel of the movie, where it goes. I don't even care that it has cheesy 3D effects. It really doesn't bother me. Some of the cuts of it in 2D are a little grainy. If you buy the Blu-ray, it's cleaned up and it's better, and you can actually see Jaws 3D as it was supposed to be shown in theaters, actually as an extra on the DVD. So if you don't know that, go check it out if you're a fan of Jaws 3D. Also, if you're on Facebook, I created a Jaws 3D group. It's just called Jaws 3D. You can go ahead and check that out. There's a bunch of people on there that post different pictures and different thoughts and different stories from behind the scenes, or their ideas of why this scene was like this or what this meant. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and look it up and join the group. So that's my opinion of the Jaws series and how I have them ranked. 4, Jaws the Revenge; 3, Jaws the Original; 2, Jaws 2; and number 1, Jaws 3D. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, share it, and if you feel like leaving a comment in the section below, please do so. And until next time, movie buffs, I'm out of here.